Hi everyone, my name's Lisa Hopper and this is my colleague Sam Wilde. We're both coaches, we've been doing this for a number of years and we wanted to produce a bit of a practical guide on kind of taking your coaching business online. So for any coaches out there who might be working more face-to-face, running workshops in person and are actually at the stage now where they'd really love to bring their business online, or anyone who's kind of starting out and wants to do more in the online space. So that's a very brief introduction on who we are and who this course is for. Sam, why don't you tell us a little bit about what people can expect?
Yeah, so like you said, it's just really important that people know we're both full-time coaches and we both work predominantly online. I mean, I work online completely. I know you've done some offline stuff, but most of your coaching is now all online, right? Mm-hmm. And we both feel it's just really important to put something together that covers all of the things, the pitfalls, the things to know, the things to look out for, and how to be kind of just really direct in taking your business online and how to grow it online, right? So basically this video is put into sections, from practical approaches to how to go about actually creating clients. And by the end of it, you'll know how to set yourself up practically online and how to create clients online. Is that fair?
Sounds fair to me.
Great. So we'll see you in section 1.
Hey, hi everyone, welcome back. In section 1, we're going to be talking a little bit about time and attention, not time and distraction. So I want to start off with something that really helped me, because I did, as Sam spoke about a little bit in the introduction, I did start my business face-to-face. I did all of my client creation face-to-face. I did all of my coaching face-to-face, and I was really not in the online space at all. And then I got very distracted by the online space and ended up going into the digital marketing world, a world that I knew nothing of, and spent a good couple of months trying to figure out how to produce videos, how to do Facebook ads, tracking Facebook ads, spending money on Facebook ads. And it was just a world that I wasn't interested in at all. And it started to feel really, really, really heavy. And I started to lose the love of coaching. And for me, that was a shame, because that wasn't why I went into it in the first place. So the thing that kind of shifted it again for me was just tapping back into authenticity, is the word that always comes up. Just finding what it was that I really, really loved doing, and being able to do that online as well. So what helped for me was I started looking at, where is my focus going? Like, how much time am I actually spending on creating clients? How much time am I actually spending on serving people? And when I got clearer on that, I saw a difference in how many clients I was working with. So I'm going to slow us down a little bit and speak a bit more to that, because I had a Facebook group, and I was spending a lot of time and attention in growing that group, but I wasn't necessarily spending a lot of time and attention in getting into one-on-one conversations with people. And so when I kind of got really clear on where my energy was going, like, I have this expansive space in my calendar, so how do I fill those days? When I got really clear on that and really looked at, oh, I'm only spending an hour a day on this, or I'm spending no hours a day on this, but I'm worrying about it a lot, or I'm telling myself that I'm spending a lot of time doing that. That the actual, when I started logging it, it's like the actual truth of it was that I wasn't spending enough time on it, and I was too busy being concerned about what my Facebook group looked like. So a really practical tip for me is just to start logging how many minutes you are spending on getting into conversation with people and being in service to people, like direct conversations with people online. So it doesn't have to be a dialogue like over the phone, but it could be a dialogue that you're having in a Facebook message, or on a post, commenting on people's posts. But it was like I started tracking how much time and attention I'm spending on being in service to people. Steve Chandler talks about this a lot. And he says, you know, there's a direct correlation, which I've just talked about. The more time and attention we give something, the more it grows. So I want to encourage you to really have a look. If you're at a space where you've been online for a while and are not seeing growth, or if you're moving into the online space and not knowing where to start, it's that piece for me. It's just getting really clear on how much time and attention am I spending on being in conversation with people and being of service to people. Because it's so easy to get distracted. I know Sam's going to talk a little bit about some of the distractions out there. It's definitely a pitfall that I fell into. But Sam, I'm not sure if what I'm saying is making sense.
100%.
How is it being heard? And is there anything more I need to say on that piece before we get into the distractions?
I don't think so. I mean, it was absolutely bang on the money for me. You know, if I was to give anyone some advice who is, like you said, then maybe they've been coaching for a while and they're looking to move online, or they've been online for a while and they're not getting what they want to get, or it's not going the way they thought it would go, or they're offline and they want to come online. For me, what I see a lot of people doing, and I did myself for a long time, just as you said, is like piling all of my time into all the background stuff, the attraction stuff, like the websites, the Facebook ads, the marketings, the getting my client niching right, and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't create any clients. I may have created one or two here and there, but they weren't really created. They kind of like what I saw and they're like, oh, what's this about? And they weren't really serious. It was just interest. So for me, if we're in this space online, and any coaching, really online or offline, 99.9%, if not 100%, especially in those early days, of our time needs to be on creating conversation, on creating, connecting. You know, like we've said dozens of times to the guys in our group, no client we have never created a client outside of a conversation. And that's no different online really to how it is offline. It's very easy, talking of distractions, it's very easy, because I was online. I've been an online coach since the beginning, so 3.5 years ago, and full time. And it's very easy to get distracted, not just by all this stuff that you've got to do, like the background stuff that you've got to do, like all the, you know, when you want to do a website, when it serves you to do a website. Not that I've actually needed to do that, but it's very easy to get distracted by your own stuff, all right, and to take your eye off the ball with client creation. So priority is always, for me, client creation. The other distraction when you're online is like magpie or shiny object syndrome. When you hear somebody say, hey, listen, I can help you take your business from here to here in 6 weeks. Here's how you do it. Here's the method. And it's like, oh, that sounds good. That sounds like something I really want. And that's what anxiety marketing and fear marketing does. It's perfect at doing that. But it very rarely delivers on results, especially in this market, because people now are really aware of people trying to sell to them. Whereas those of us that are there to serve and focus on that service and not get distracted by that other stuff, there's no mistake. There's no, the reason being that that's what creates clients. That's what creates a coaching practice. It's really just, I think, for us both important to point out those distractions to people right now more than ever, because there is more online stuff than there ever has been, but there's very few people that are actually making a success out of it.
Yeah, there's something about commitment for me in there as well, and just self-discipline. And I know a lot of people say, oh, I haven't got any self-discipline. It's like, it's a choice, really. You know, you either want to be a professional coach or you don't, and anything else is an excuse. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that commitment level, yes, it might waver from time to time, but you have to find a way to get it back up to where it needs to be, because without that, you know, it is difficult. I'm not going to make this sound fluffy. Like, it's hard. It is hard to grow a coaching business. It is. And you need to be really passionate and committed with it. You know, I know I've spoken to a lot of people who say, yeah, I'm 100% committed, and to them that commitment looks like I'm prepared to put in all the hours that I need to put in. You know, I'm prepared to work 12-hour days, but it's deeper than that. It's like that commitment, you have to push through that comfort zone. You know, you have to do things that might feel really, really uncomfortable at times, and get over yourself almost. That's what I want to say too. It's, you have to push your ego aside and stop worrying about how you look and really make it about the person in front of you.
Yeah.
And what I found was when I was distracted the most, it was because I was really insecure. Like, I talk about the language that I use is like insecure thinking. So something that would take me off is exactly what you just talked about, Sam. You know, like someone's promising 6 figures in 6 weeks, or this person looks like they're doing really well. What are they doing? I'm going to start, you know, seeing what they're up to. And before I knew it, like 2, 3, 4 hours had passed. And then I felt really deflated because I wasn't good enough yet.
Yeah.
And so there was an element of just self-discipline and just that commitment, just being like, no, I want this, and I'm going to do whatever it takes. And if that means being prepared to spend just an hour a day on Facebook, you know, and be really committed to a log of, I want to spend 300 minutes every single day on client creation. And every day I might want to up that by 2 minutes. So it's like, there's systems that you can put in place to help you remain focused and structured, but really you need that commitment to be where it needs to be too. Yeah, there was something else that popped into my mind, but it's gone. It might come back.
You know, I can add just a tiny bit to that, I think, which is, you know, one of my favorite conversations we had with our group of coaches was, you know, what are you committed to? Because everyone's committed to something. Like, without knowing it, you're either committed to staying stuck and staying put and doing the same thing over and over again, or committed to doing nothing, or committed to something new, committed to being outside that comfort zone, committed to feeling that sense of discomfort and fear, and committed to hearing the word no. Like, being fully committed and really embracing hearing that word no or not now is perfect, because in that is where we find clients. It's where clients are attracted to us, because we're there in service. We're not fearful of hearing a no, and they see that. And it's like, hey, this person's really here for me. They've really got me here. And so I think that's really important as well to remember, is that, like you said, commitment is absolutely everything in this. This isn't just something you can just pick up and it's easy. You know, aside from being a dad, this is the hardest thing I've ever done, but also the best, the most rewarding, not just financially, but personally. It's absolutely an incredible job, but you do need to be committed to it. So is there anything else?
I think for this, you know, this first section, it's really about getting clear on that commitment level.
Yeah.
And where my focus needs to be. Like, it is up to you. You can choose to be distracted, and you can come up with a million reasons why you had to be distracted, or you can choose to be committed. And you can find ways to be committed, whatever that looks like. Yeah, I think that's they're the key messages for this.
Yeah, perfect. And I guess this is the time now where it's like, if you're still here and you're thinking, yeah, no, I am committed, I am ready for this, then carry on, you know, keep on listening. Whereas if you're kind of in doubt, this may not be for you, and that's cool. Like, that's absolutely cool. But let's see what comes up in the next session.
Yeah, can I just add, Sam? I did just.
Of course you can. Yeah, there's no rush.
Something. I think there would be a really good activity to do, like with this section, what we're talking about. Steve calls it the captain's log. And I think that would be something for you to start doing. It's like, get yourself a bit of paper, however you want to track it, an Excel spreadsheet, whatever floats your boat, but just have captain's log. And then every single day, you write down to the minute how much time you have been spending on client creation. And by client creation, that is in direct conversation with somebody, either to serve them or to invite them into a coaching conversation. And they're really the only two things that I count. So it's probably worth saying right now, Sam and I are doing this because we can, like, because we want to. not because we want to create clients from it. So this was the kind of stuff that distracted me at the beginning, you know, like webinars, masterclasses, all of this digital marketing stuff. And I spent so much time coming up with, what do I want my niche to be? What do I want my elevator pitch to look like? I spent so much time on that. And that kept me away from doing the one thing that I know now creates clients. So my coach said to me in the early days, he was like, forget all of that. Like, if you want to be a good coach, go out and coach people. Yeah. That's it. And forget about the rest of the stuff, because that's a distraction. I guess it works for some people. I'm not saying it doesn't work at all, but I know that how I've built my business, how Sam has built his business, is not from doing stuff like this at the beginning. It's from creating clients, and this isn't the way to do it. So, you know, don't keep yourself hidden, is what I'm saying. Don't keep yourself hidden by producing videos that are not going to get out there for 8 weeks until you've got your program pulled together. It's like, get into conversation with people and find out what they need, and then write down, keep a log to the minute of how much time you are spending on that. And that will really help you get clear on whether you're doing, you know, whether you're doing enough, and whether what you are doing is effective and having the impact that you want to have.
Perfect. Great. Let's move on to the next section.
Okay, welcome back. So this is the second kind of module. And in this one, what we're going to be talking about, right now you should have your log. So you've got your captain's log, you're ready, you're motivated, you're committed, and now you want to start reaching out to people and having conversations. So the question is, where the bloody hell are the people? Right? Like, where are my clients? Where are my potential clients hiding? Sam and I have done this slightly differently, but we want to share both of our methods, really, because I think there'll be people resonating with different styles, and that's what I love about the fact that there's two of us in this together. I want to just outline, there's so many different ways to do it. There's so many different ways to find clients. There's so many different ways, you know, places where clients are hanging out. So please don't take what we're saying as the only way, because we don't mean it like that at all. And we just want to give you a bit of, you know, hints, tips, practical advice, and sharing our experience, what's worked for us, in case it does resonate and it does feel authentic for you to do something similar. But you will find your own way. Yeah. So Sam, do you want to start off talking a little bit about, you know, the different platforms that people might use in terms of, you know, where the clients are hanging out, where they're hiding?
Yeah, definitely. Again, I think just to slow it down again and reiterate what you said, like, you know, I've seen coaches create clients in all sorts of ways. Like, it's about being creative and having fun with it, like whichever way lights you up, whatever you love doing. And one of my clients, who was a writer, and he used to write a handwritten letter to potential clients in his beautiful handwriting and sign it off for himself and just say, I'd love to gift you some time, love to talk to you about the project you're talking about, and send it to them. And they almost always came back. So I can't believe people still write letters. And because no one writes letters anymore, they always get there. So, you know, there are just so many ways to create clients. So again, like we said, it's just important to remember that. So when we're talking, we're not saying this is how you do it. We're saying this is how you could do it. This is how we do it. And so listen between the words, listen between the lines in what we're saying. It's kind of the kind of context of it, not necessarily the content wholly. Okay, so there are a few ways. I think most clients or all clients actually that are online are going to be on social media somewhere. And unless you've got a really good idea of who your client is, so for example, if they're like a working professional and you do have a niche, I'm not saying you need one, but if you do have one, then it might be that LinkedIn will work really well for you. If you're working with teenagers, then something like Instagram or Pinterest might work for you. If you're kind of working with people that are talking about anxiety, or they're talking about growing a business, or they're an online entrepreneur, Facebook is fantastic. So you don't need to know, but if you do know, great. And if you don't know, I didn't know, I didn't have a clue. And honestly, I still don't. It's just that I love using Facebook, so that's what I use. right? Do what you love, and then things are a lot easier. So for me, I use Facebook, and it is super important to make the point now that when I started out, I didn't jump. Well, I made the mistake initially of jumping in with groups and content and websites and stuff. But I soon realized that wasn't the way to do things for me. So all of my client creation, and includes that same now, exactly the same now, is active. It's not passive. So I do have a Facebook group. I do have my Facebook group, and it's extremely engaged, loads of engagement from it because I'm active in it and I talk about stuff that is meaningful. I never post to create clients. I post to make impact, stuff that I love to talk about. So I use my Facebook group a lot, and when people are commenting or they're asking questions, I do lives, do challenges, do all sorts of cool stuff, just fun stuff, just getting stuck in, trying different things out. I get stuck in, get to know people, I ask questions, and if at any point I think I can help them, I'll invite them into a conversation, or I'll try and serve them in some way. So that for me is a really great way of creating clients, and a really great way of staying engaged online as well. And again, it's active, not passive. I'm very active in that. Does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, for me it does. I would love to know from the people listening to this if there's more information that they need. So we'll give you some of our details at the end. And if you do have questions, reach out to us and ask us, and we'll see if we can be in service of some way. I want to share what I kind of did, which is why I feel like it was a bit of a hybrid approach almost for me, and I never considered myself to be an online coach until more recently. Yet I did have a model that was online. So I started out just with, who do I know? Like, I wasn't actually I wasn't looking at a really cold audience. What I found really worked for me, once I'd gone through my hiccup of Facebook ads and all the rest of it, it was like, what I found really worked, what I found I loved doing, was serving the people that I cared about. And so I just started with, who do I actually know out in this world? Who do I know? And who might I be of assistance to? And very similar to Sam, it wasn't passive, it was really active client creation. So I produced a list of people who I knew, and people who I didn't know that well but was still kind of in my eye line, and then people out there in the community who I didn't know yet, but they might be hanging out in gyms or I don't know, the dentist reception, or wherever I could think of that was in the community. And then I just started connecting with people. So whether that was email, depending on my relationship with them, sometimes it was email, sometimes it was a text message, and then sometimes it was on LinkedIn, like old colleagues that I'd lost touch with. I just reached out and asked, how are you doing these days? What are you up to? And generated conversations that way. And with the only intention of actually helping people, like, let's see if there's something that's going on in your world right now that I might be able to support you with. And coming from a really service-based approach, I know we're going to talk more about service as we go through these modules. That is how I did it. And that is the thing that seemed to work for me the most. And then I saw that I started to get referrals through that. And even with referrals, it was like still slowing that down, not just, yeah, I'd love to work with them, oh, I have someone that might be interested. Oh yeah, I'd love to work with them. That was so tempting to do when I was really needing clients. But now it's slowing it down and just getting really, really curious about, well, why do you say that? Tell me a little bit about that person. What's going on for them? Why do you feel like we might be a good fit? And I want to know as much about someone so that I know, I'm starting to think of the ways that I can help them. So that's how I did it. So I did use social media, but it was more of it just felt like I was doing it in a more authentic way. It didn't feel salesy, it didn't feel pushy. it felt really genuine, heartfelt, service-based connections that I was making. And then I also want to say, we haven't really talked much about this, but I have a website. I got that set up in the beginning. I did it myself. It was really cheap. Was it easy? There were moments where the laptop was going to go out the window for sure, but I didn't spend a lot of time on it at all. I'm not very technically savvy, and as you watch these videos, you might get to know that if I'm ever in charge of the recording or the editing. But yeah, it's been there for years, and I can count on one hand the number of clients that I've created that have found me through my website. As you know, I don't spend any money on search engine optimization or anything like that. I don't spend any money on branding. I literally just get into conversations with people and see if I can help. And I'm me. I'm just me. I'm not trying to be anybody else. And that is so powerful when it comes to coaching. You have to create trust with people. It's such a privilege to be in this position, and your clients are really going to need to feel comfortable around you. And if they see an image and then a person that doesn't seem to align with that image, there might be questions going on. They might not feel like they can share everything with you. They might not feel like it's a trusted space anymore. So it really is just important to stay tuned in to the conversation and being present with people, and really just trying to help them in the way that you know how. That's it.
Perfect. Might be an idea to share a story actually at this point about one of my clients who we have this kind of great relationship going on. That came from exactly what you're talking about, which was just service. I didn't have anything else on my mind really. And I mean, it's important to sort of say that, we're still running a business. So in the back of my mind, there was, there's always that kind of creating clients kind of thought going around. That's cool. But really, when the focus is service, this sort of stuff happens. And just remember being online one day, and I was watching a video of somebody. She's got an online fitness business. Didn't realize how big at the time, but it's an online fitness business. And she was doing a live, and she was talking. And as she was talking, there was stuff standing out to me. A lot of people on the thread were kind of trying to fix the problem. They were kind of giving her advice, and I kind of learned not to do that. Like, until I know somebody, who am I to give advice? And as she was talking, I just really felt this sense that I could help, that there was something in what she was saying that I knew that if we had a conversation, the conversation would produce something helpful. So, no afraid to say, I'm not afraid to hear no. I used to be when I started out, but I've had it, and I've had it so many times now that I don't care. But I've had an equal amount of yeses, so it doesn't matter, right? And I remember sending her an invitation, just a private Facebook message, and I just said, listen, I've just watched this video, and what occurred to me was this, and this, and I'd love to help. Can I gift you a couple of hours? And interestingly, later on, a few months later, she said, Sam, I get a lot of people messaging me. It's social media, of course you do, right? You get loads of people trying to sell you stuff. She said, you're the only person that actually took the time to watch something and then offer me something, gift me something. And she ended up signing up with me off the back of that. So we did 3 months, and then another 3 months, and then she signed up for a year, and then she signed up her son, and then she referred dozens of friends to me. And then what happened was we as we got to know each other, we were having conversations around how can we work together? Like, because my business really complements yours and vice versa. So she invited me into her groups to do lives, and her business to do, and now I go to her retreats and do live days, and I'm doing coaching conversations, and it's just cool. So much business has come from that just because I'm there and I'm serving. Like, service creates clients when our focus is service, not creating clients. And here we are, 3 years on, 3.5 years on, and we're still working together. And we're still working together in a business sense as well. And there's still clients being created from that. So it's the power of service and love. That's essentially what service means: caring, giving a shit. And that's where I think sometimes we get it a little bit wrong, is that it's getting clients, not creating clients. So sometimes I think, again, I'm not saying go out and start hammering messaging, hammering Messenger and start spamming people. That is definitely not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is listen between the words and the lines. That when we're in service, we create clients. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. There's a piece for me there as well around sufficiency. You know, it's really easy to spam people when you think that clients are scarce and hard to come by. And it's less easy, or you know, you don't need to do that. You really don't need to do that if you know that the person in front of you right now is not the only person in the world.
Yeah.
You know, you can take a no really gracefully. It could be a not yet. You can take that really gracefully. There are times we might talk about this in this course or another one, but you know, you're likely to get objections from people, and there are times when you need to, as a coach, see through those objections because they're fear-based, and that's your opportunity really to help, like, be in service in that moment, get present with someone and really understand what's behind the no. And then there are times when a no is just a no. You know, so it's like not being afraid of that word, because there are sufficient people to go around for all of us. Yeah, it's a great case study, Sam. Like, it's a great story that you share about how you did it just online, listening, like really listening between the words to see what might be helpful and not making any assumptions. Just like, I think, you know, it might be cool to have a conversation. I think I have things that might be helpful. Do you want to spend some time together?
Yeah.
But not making any assumptions, so it's not advice led, it's curiosity led, service led.
It's so perfect. And I hear a lot of people saying, you know, especially online, like, I hate it when people message me. I hate it when people private message me. Yeah, I do too when someone's trying to sell me something. But when somebody actually has taken the time to say, Sam, and I still get this occasionally now, very rarely, it's more, I get more sales stuff than anything else. But sometimes I'll get somebody say, Sam, I read this post and I really loved it. And I love what you're about. I'd love to spend some time with you and have a conversation. And I've done that so many times to other people. And in fact, our latest apprentice, mine and yours apprentice, was exactly that conversation was, hey, listen, I'd love to gift you some time on this because I could definitely offer you some value, right? And that was all it was. And then a few weeks on, months on, look what's happened. So I hope what people are hearing from this is just slowing it down, serving, and your practice will grow. Anything else to add?
No, I think they're the key messages. But we'll talk more about that level of service. You know, now you know where your clients are. How do we make contact? How do we reach out? And we'll talk more about that in the next module.
Perfect. Record. Hi guys, and welcome to section 3. Sorry, I was just messing about off camera and caught a little bit of it. All part of the fun. So in this section, we really want to talk about service, what it means, what it is, how we serve, how our clients see service. And something specific came up for me with a conversation with a client today, which was around when you're reaching out to people, how can you do it in such a way that it doesn't come across as like needy, or, you know, because needy is creepy, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about service, and we've got a couple of stories. We've got some personal stuff, and we've got some, I know Lisa wants to share a story about the godfather of coaching, Steve Hardizan. It'd be my name one day. But why don't we...
Is the godfather not Steve Chandler?
Is it?
I think so.
Well,
I think he's the godfather. Let's call Hardison the great godfather.
Or the god.
Oh, the god, yeah.
God's father, you know, who knows? Who knows?
I wonder if he'll ever watch this one day.
Maybe. I wonder how many people have stopped watching it now.
Yeah, they've gone to look up Steve Chandler and Steve Hardison.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, Steve, you're not the godfather anymore. But I think even in this conversation, it's, you know, anyone watching this, you know, we personally sent you this video to watch. Like, this is what it is. It's just being yourself. It's being authentic. It's it's being in this for the love of it, because you care, because you want to serve. That's what this is about, and hopefully you get that from this video. So Lisa, why don't you share the story that you have in mind about what service looks like?
Yeah, thank you. Do I want to say anything first? I think I do. Just as you were talking, this came up, which is, it's a feeling. I don't know the words really for it, but it's almost like I knew in the beginning when I started coaching, I needed clients. I'd quit my job, I'd gone straight into full-time coaching, and the fear around money was really real. And so I knew what that feeling was when I was reaching out to get a client, because it was a needy feeling. And so I'm not going to lie, if you need money right now, you can grow your coaching practice for sure, but it's almost like you need to take money off your mind to be in service mode. Because for me, I just don't see how you can be fully in service mode when you have a need, like a real need. Like, I'm talking to pay my minimum bills this month, I need this client. And I don't think that you can be pure service mode when you have that other need. So I just want to say that first of all, because the feeling now is very different. It's like you can be purely in service mode when it's okay for the person in front of you to say no or not yet. So that was the first thing that I wanted to say. And then the story that I had was about Steve Hardison, the great godfather of coaching. He came to London. I can't remember when it was now. It wasn't that long ago. He came to London. And I was living in London at the time. And he'd put a post on Facebook to say, I'm going to be in this hotel between, these hours. And I'd read it and thought, oh, it's like a drop-in clinic almost. So you can go along and say hi and meet him and ask questions, but it's within those times. So you can go along at any time you want within that period. And that wasn't necessarily the case because he's so popular. So everybody had arrived probably early, or at least on time. And because there were so many people there that wanted to see him, the hotel had said, right, we'll get you a meeting room instead, then come with us. So by the time I arrived, like 30 minutes after it all started, they weren't anywhere to be seen. So the staff had said, oh no, he's in the meeting room. And I didn't want to go in and interrupt. So I just kind of waited in the bar area with my friend to see, maybe they're going to be out in a couple of hours. We'll hang out here. And sure enough, he came out, and the hotel staff grabbed him. They went running down the corridor after him and was like, oh, there's someone else here to see you. And he turned around and he came back and he started talking to me. And so I kind of introduced myself, and my first coach had worked with him. So we got talking about my first coach. And he was like, come and grab a chair. So we went off into this other part of the hotel. And he just sat there and talked to me for probably, I think it was, I don't know, somewhere in between half an hour and an hour. Like, just of his time. And he'd dedicated 2 hours, and now he was spending additional time with someone who was late. Someone who he had, no need to talk to at all. But he chose to. So he went out of his way to just spend time with me. He had his wife and family at the hotel, so he could have chosen to go for dinner, there and then with them, and he didn't. And for me, and then when he found out my friend was there, he was like, oh my God, go and get your friend, get her into the conversation. So I went off and got my friend, and we just sat and talked. And what I noticed, that it was beyond the words. It wasn't what he was saying necessarily that I was noticing. It was his way of being. Like, it really was the level of service that he provides comes from how he shows up, like how he is every single day. It wasn't an act. It's not like, oh, well, I'll give this person an extra hour because I need to have this image that I'm living up to. It was genuine, sincere, service-based way of living. And I was watching him. There's a guy that was at work in the hotel, and I was watching Steve. He was telling me about this guy, and he was really good at service, this guy in the hotel. And so I was watching Steve. He would go up to him every now and then, and he'd try and give him thanks. he'd try and pay him a compliment, or he'd try and, you know, appreciate the hospitality. And the guy was just like batting it off. And he was like, oh, no, it's fine. You know, it's fine. It's my job. And so Steve would go away, and then later he'd go back and have another go, because he was so determined to have this guy see how brilliant he was. And I just thought that's why he is so good at what he does, because he doesn't give up on helping people see how special they are, like helping people really see their gift and bringing out more of that gift in them. So I just thought it was really cool. It's you know, there's so many coaching programs out there that will talk to you about strategies and practical tips and what questions to ask and a script to say in a consultation, and it's like there's all the learning right there in that, if you're willing to look for it. It's really a relationship business, you know. It really is a slowing everything down and building that relationship with people from a really pure heart. Like, I don't know any other way to say it, really.
No, you've nailed it. What's really apparent as you're talking, at least what I'm hearing, is this. It's not so much about go be Steve, right? Because Steve is Steve. Like Lisa's Lisa, Sam is Sam, and whoever's watching, you know, be you. That's the point here. It's like when we're authentic, when we work out and we understand what service means to us as a person, as an individual, then however we go out and serve, it remains authentic, and it remains within integrity. We have integrity when we go out and serve, and so when you do offer people some time, or you do suggest you can help someone, it doesn't matter outside of that what happens, because it's not about anything else other than offering, because that's the space and the genuine space it's coming from. Like, I really care and I want to help you. I can see something here. Would you like to talk? And you're right, the minute it becomes about anything other than that, that's when it starts to feel icky.
Yeah.
That's when it's like you're biting your, oh God, I got to say yes because I need to pay my bills. And the other thing is as well, is that when you come from the mindset of getting clients, slowing down can feel really difficult to start with. So much resistance to it because you're so used to busy. But that's not service. You'd have to go a long way to convince me that that's real service. So that's kind of what really was really obvious as you were talking there.
Yeah, the feeling never lies. That's what I know, you know, to be true. It's like if there's a feeling of ickiness, there's usually some story going on in my head. There's usually I'm not in that space of service yet. It's like, why, you know, if I'm reaching out, why am I feeling icky? I'm probably making it about me in some way, or, you know, I haven't flipped into being super present with the person that I'm about to speak to, and really just having the only agenda being, how can I help?
Yeah.
And sometimes I've seen this where, you know, I've reached out, and I said in a different video that I started with people I knew, and there could be friends who felt icky having me reach out to them. So I was free to ask, but then I could feel their resistance. You know, they were really like, she's going to try and sell me something. So that's probably just worth pointing out as well, because there's so much freedom in me to reach out to people, because it's not on me how they feel. If I know I'm coming from a genuine, authentic place, I have that freedom to ask. And often if somebody that's receiving it feels icky, that tells me a hell of a lot about probably why they need coaching, actually, like how coaching could help them. You know, how might that be holding you back? And I've seen it so many times with the people who have given me that sense that they're not comfortable. I've just made someone feel really uncomfortable. They're the ones that don't ask. They're the ones that play small, you know. They're the ones that hold back. They're the ones like, oh no, I don't want to be a pest. I don't want to. It's like so many stories going on in their world, and I wonder what it would be like if they could drop that resistance, drop those stories. I wonder what it would be like if they weren't looking for, oh, there we go, I knew she was gonna try and sell me something. And it is really funny, because, you know, you could genuinely give somebody like 10 hours of your time, let's say, just wanting to help them. And then if you're seeing the impact that it's having, you might feel like, do you want to do something together? I think it would be really cool. It's okay to say no. And then straight away they go back into it, and it's like, wow, what just happened? Yeah. And I'm not afraid of having those conversations anymore either, because for me, that's service. And that piece around really listening to your clients, seeing beyond the words, is important there, because there will be people who you can go straight into that conversation with, and there will be people who you might need to take things, a lot slower. There isn't a right or wrong. There isn't a one size fits all. Yeah, it's seeing who's in front of you and helping them overcome, whatever it is that's getting in their way.
Yeah.
I feel like I sidetracked a little bit there.
No, it's good.
Anyway, that's what came up, so I shared.
Great, but I think it's keeping things real and authentic. There's a real piece here around permission to say yes. Like, especially when you get to the proposal stage, if you do, and most often than not, people will say it to me. My clients will say it to me, like, Sam, what happens moving forward? What do we do now? Because it's a natural part of the course. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If you feel like you want to have that conversation, then we ask permission, we have that conversation. There's a real thing here for me around permission. I've had a number of times where I've said to the client, like, what is it that you found most profound about this experience together so far, especially the beginning stages? And often it's permission to say yes. I've been wanting someone to say yes to, that gets me, that hears me, and that I can say yes to myself with, because it feels safe. It feels safe, but also I feel supported. And these people, they're not beginners. These are successful people. But everyone has their next level. Everyone has the next bit that they want to do. Everyone has their ceilings. And again, without sidetracking too far, that's where the service piece comes in. Because when that is in the back of our mind, when that is our intention, and our intention is clear, that's what shows up. And I always remember when I first started coming from I was a real seller at personal training when I did that before. And I would always use words to kind of really drive home to people the pain of where they're at, right? Which was the way that I was doing it at the time. It's the way I was taught, it's the way that it worked for me. And it did work. My business grew. Could I have created clients a different way? Probably. But what's really interesting, as I went into the space of service, I found it to start with really hard, because I couldn't drop this story around, but how am I going to create clients then? When am I going to get clients from? There must be a part of me that wants this client. And it took ages for me to really get what service meant. And what it did take for me, I'm not saying this is true for everybody, but just a heads up in case it is that there's a process to it. Sometimes there's a process. We can't just drop thought. But let it be a reminder to you. Let it be a gentle tap on the shoulder of, maybe you could do this a different way. Are you really in service here, Sam? Like, just a gentle nudge. Like, Sam, are you in service to this person here, or are you thinking about yourself? And when I started to use my feelings as a bit of a pointer, like you say, feelings don't lie, I welcomed it, because, like, great. Now I know, I'm out of service here, thinking about myself. What about this person? What do they need? And so that is just, it's everything. And the rest is kind of the content of it, the reaching out, the questions, the invites, that comes with time. And we can talk about that if it's useful at some point. But the real crux of this is, don't be afraid to hear no. And don't be afraid to go and help people now. Go and invite people to a conversation. Yeah, I think I got everything that I wanted to say there.
That you used the word up level earlier. That was what I was going to actually talk about and then forgot. But it's so yeah. Thanks for the nudge. That level of service for me, it feels like it gets deeper always. So even years in, I'm still looking for ways to deepen that level of service. And service did feel a little bit like, I think in the early days I was definitely using service as a marketing strategy, which is not service, it's marketing.
Yeah.
And now it does feel different. Now it really does feel like I just have your best interests at heart, and it gives me permission to be direct if I need to be, to call you out on your excuses, to be loving, to be like, you know, whatever feels like it would be in service. It's like I have permission to do that. And Sam and I talk a lot about client astonishment as well. And this is something, I mean, Steve Harder said, wow, he's definitely got to have the crown for this. I read a story once where Steve Chandler was being coached by him, and Hardison sent him a car. He bought him a car. Sam and I are not at that level yet.
Yeah. You might get a card.
Yeah, or a toy car.
A free course.
But no, in all seriousness, it's, you know, like doing extra bonus sessions. If someone's in a really difficult place, or not, if someone's in a really cool, creative, inspired space, and you think, oh, it'd be really fun to check in with them this week. I wonder what they might create this week, building on the momentum of last week. You know, if you usually have sessions that are 2 weeks apart, I might say to someone, do you want to do a bonus session next week? Or if I have someone that cancels, it doesn't happen very often, but if someone cancels at the last minute and I can't fill that slot, say, I might call the client up. You know, I might send them a text, are you free now? I have an hour. Do you want to do another session? I send books to a lot of people. I know Sam does that as well. The two of us, we do videos for people. So, you know, anything at all that's like would fit in that client astonishment, that's gonna up level your service.
Yeah.
Do it. Don't hold back. Don't be afraid to give everything you have, because you can just go out there and learn more. Like, that's the fun bit. A coach always has a growth mindset. A good coach always has a growth mindset. So don't be afraid to give your best stuff. And that's definitely a marketing strategy that I would highly recommend avoiding.
Yeah.
You know, like, you want to give people a little bit, but not too much. Say, no, bollocks, give them everything. Be you, give them everything, and then learn more. That's how you keep clients. Give
experience, share experience. Like, somebody has such an incredible, I mean, there's a reason why people always go back to the same restaurant and pay the same money. Even if they put their prices up, they'll still go back. There's a reason why people, is it my neighbor? Which one side? No, it's this side. He's always got a BMW. He's always got, even though they let him down all the time, he loves his BMWs, and he's loyal to that BMW because he loves the experience of driving a BMW. And that's the same sort of thing-ish for me. It's like you create that experience with someone. I want more. I want more of that, because with you, the only person I've ever had this experience with in this world is you. And I want more of that. How does that happen?
Yeah.
Like, well, let's talk about that. This is cool. Let's explore that together. And it's fun. It's exciting and fun, you know.
Yeah, you're so free to do that as well when you don't make money the number one driving force behind why you're doing this.
Yeah.
You know, if you start to think in money and you start to think, oh, well, if I did extra sessions, that would take my hourly rate down. It's like, no, that's not going to help either. That way of thinking just gets in the way. It's do it because you love it, because it's making a difference, because you're having impact. And, you know, this week, Sam and I both have clients where we've got really present with them. And when we've heard through what they were saying, we've just felt compelled to say, would it help if we did a session with that person that you're talking about there? Would it help if we did a Zoom call for these people, like as part of your program? Would it help if we did that? So not even coaching the person that we're in a relationship with, but offering for the benefit of them to serve other people as well. Like, you know, it's just get creative, really listen to what might be helpful for people.
Yeah, the only other thing I think I would add is around service for you, like service for the coach. What does that look like? And something I learned later on, actually, it wasn't straight away, was actually not the more I make, that's the wrong way of putting it, but the more I charged, the more expansiveness I had within that, or the more freedom I had within that coaching sort of time with people, you know. And it meant I could really show up and really slow down and have that freedom within that time, you know, because I think it's easy just to sort of, you know, go in at a kind of what serves that person, but actually what serves me as a coach too, because there is definitely a balance. Because giving everything and not having anything in return and no money means great, keep going. But if you want to be a full-time coach and you're committed to that, then you need to make money from it. So making sure, I think, that you have enough freedom to serve, you know.
Yeah.
In 40 hours a week of coaching, great, but not so much when you're knackered, rushed off your feet, you can't remember what that person said to you last time, you've lost all the notes, and you don't know what's going on. That's not service to you, man.
It's a really important distinction to make. We're definitely not saying service equals free coaching.
No.
That is not the message here at all. No. So it's definitely an important distinction to make. Yes. Yeah, good point.
I'm full of those.
I have one. This is going to be quite a long video actually, but because I have one other thing. You might be able to tell that we love talking about service. But something that popped into my head is there's a lot of people that do have a fear of charging, like charging what they're worth, and a money mindset that holds people back, like holds coaches back from asking for what we are worth. And I don't mean we really, I mean the space, like the coaching space as well. And one of the things that I did with one of my clients who was struggling with this to put her fees up was I asked her, like, I'm going to make up numbers, right? But let's say she charged £500 for a 3-month program. And she was like really resistant to upping that fee. So I asked the question, what would a £1,000 program look like? And there just was a real sense of freedom in there to get creative, like, oh, well, what would a £1,000 program look like? So instead of being stuck on the thought of, I can't charge £1,000. How can I charge £1,000? No, I'm not worth £1,000. It was like, well, what would you need to do to charge £1,000?
Yeah.
What would need to be on offer here? Would you do longer sessions? Would you do more sessions? Would you do an in-person workshop? What would you do a check-in call every day? Would you work for 6 months? What would happen? What would you need to do? And that just opened up, like you talked about, that expansiveness. It's like, there's a way to make money in this business. And you just need to ask yourself better questions.
Yeah. I absolutely love that question. It's one of my favorite and probably the most, it wasn't asked like that, but one of the most impactful things. Because I remember when I first proposed a 5-figure fee to somebody, in the back of my mind, when I first was challenged to do it, I got challenged to do it, but the first time I thought, yes, I'm going to do that because it suits this person, it suits me, and it's what I need, right? The question, what I need to serve. The question came to mind was exactly that, was what would this program and what would I need to be, and who do I need to be, what do I need to do here to make this of value? And it's such a cool question because it allows you to just get creative. And it doesn't mean, oh, let's fill it with loads of free shit. That's not what that's about. If you want to do that, fine, but get creative. Right? Get creative. Who do you need to be is so much more of the important question within that, isn't it? Than what do you need to do and what do you need to give?
Yeah.
We can all just do that, you know, but this is who do you need to be, you know? And it changed everything for me. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a great question.
So I think, have you got anything more on service?
I have tons more.
Yeah.
But also in service to the people watching, I don't think they want to spend like 6 days with me watching this video.
I mean, by the time we've finished, they're going to have no time to go and create clients.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, we'll see you in the next section. Hi guys, welcome to section 4. We're going to talk a little bit about the practical stuff. So like the software, the kind of backgroundy business stuff that we use that is available. I mean, there's so much more than what we're going to talk about, but again, it's more the context of what we're talking about rather than just the content. And I want to make it really obvious from the start and really clear from the start that all of this is a supplement to client creation. It's the supplement to the majority of our work, which is creating clients. All right. And we talk to many, many coaches that they're trying to get all of this stuff together before they've even gone and created a client. Right. So the most useful things that we use in our business, so I'll sort of suggest maybe the things that I use in my business, and then obviously we can talk about ours and you can talk about yours. But funnily enough, I was asked this question today by somebody, and they said, "Oh, what software do you use?" And all I could say was Zoom. That's literally all I use.
It'll be a very short video.
Really short video. But also there's a really solid learning in that for me, which is you can create a very thriving, busy practice with very little software, right? For me, this is about, is it helpful? Do you need it? Do you need it now? Right? Is this going to support me creating clients, or is it procrastinating? So for me, the thing that I use the most is Zoom. I use it for all of my coaching, for group coaching, for this sort of stuff. This is Zoom. For one-to-one coaching, and I even use it for conversation and recording videos for people to invite them into a conversation. So it's kind of all about Zoom, really. Should probably buy shares, be on commission. So all the other sort of stuff's really useful. So if you're finding things like automated calendars and that sort of stuff really helpful, great. If you find that sometimes with Zoom, if it's not for you, like it's not for everybody, if people don't use Zoom or they're not used to it, there is a ton of other options. So I jump on the phone with people, which is a legitimate thing to do. It doesn't all have to be video calling. A phone call is a fantastic way of coaching someone because you're really focused on language, which is really useful. Often I'll use FaceTime. I've used WhatsApp a couple of times, depending on where people are in the world and what they have access to. Especially if Wi-Fi isn't available, Zoom isn't ideal. So you can still coach people over 4G, 5G, even 3G with things like Facebook Messenger calling and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of it for me, really. I don't have much more than that. I want to keep this simple for a very bloody good reason, because I want people to see the simplicity in it.
It is going to be a short video then, because I do exactly the same.
Cheap.
So Zoom is my go-to program as well. If people haven't used it before, it's really easy. It's a free app that you can download. If you want to have more than, I think there used to be a 40-minute limit on the free app, and now, I mean, it's not very much. It's less than £10. I don't actually know what I pay, $7.99, something like that at the moment for a monthly subscription, something like that. So if you upgrade from the free one, you get, longer durations. I think it's unlimited. I've never been kicked out of a call so far, and I can talk. And then you can also, in an upgraded version, you can have more than one person. So if you're looking to do group programs like this, which I do, there's I don't actually know if there's an upper limit. I think there probably is, but it's probably, I've been on webinars with 100 people, so the number is massive.
Worry about straight away.
No. Unless you take our advice, create all these clients. So Zoom's my go-to program. People, you kind of create a meeting in the app. You schedule a meeting, you send the link out to people, and they just click on it, and then it takes them straight into the meeting room. I had a question the other day about if I'm running a group program, how do you keep 20 people under control? So there's stuff that you can do in Zoom to set it up where people's videos or microphones are turned off when they enter into the meeting room. For me, my answer was more about, well, that's your role as a facilitator to do that contracting piece, but the technology can help you out there as well. I have had sessions over Skype, very, very rarely. I've done maybe 1 or 2 sessions over the phone, and that is just because there was technical difficulties with the video. And then the other, I've used Schedule once as a calendar tool. That was when I was caught up in digital marketing and had masterclasses, webinars, and more of a automated funnel. So I think Calendly is a free version. Schedule once I paid for. But again, I've come away from all of that. I really like the personal touch. It's like, I want to be the person inviting people into conversation, setting up the times. And yeah, so I've moved away from that kind of automated program, but it is there if you want it. And then the other thing that I use is an app called Trello. And Sam and I together use an app called Notion. So it's similar to Slack or Microsoft Teams, where it's more of just a collaborative space. So when we were coming up with ideas for this program, for example, we could just brain dump and stick it all in there. And it's one place where more than one person can access. So we can kind of keep connected with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's no point in rambling on.
No.
You know, that is basically the crux of it.
Yeah. I think the only other thing that I would add is just to be really aware that are you procrastinating with this stuff to avoid doing the work? Because I see it all the time. Like, again, is it helpful? Do you need it now? If the answer is no, go get clients, go create, go have conversations instead.
Yeah. And don't find an answer that suits you. Do I need it now? Yeah, I do, because it's like, you can cut through the through the bullshit.
Yeah.
If you haven't got any clients, you don't need it yet.
Yeah. You might need to Zoom at some point, but let's start by creating some conversation first.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Hi, welcome back. Sorry, that totally caught me off guard. Sam went ready and then I'd already hit record. So yeah, welcome back. This is the final module. Again, it's going to be a really brief one. Just really want to do a bit of a recap in terms of what we've talked about to bring it back to the front of your mind. So we've done a bit of an introduction into who we are and what you're going to expect from this program. We've talked about time and attention. So making sure that you're focused on the stuff that's going to make a difference in your business and not getting distracted with all of the other stuff. We've talked about where to find clients online and how to connect and really serve those clients and those potential clients. We've talked a lot about what service looks like and how you can always up level the service. And we've touched on what different online platforms are available to use to do all of this and make it happen. So all that is left right now is to just go out there and put it into practice. We really don't want this to be an information course, you know, that's like so boring to just absorb information and not do anything with it. So we've given you what we think is needed to give you a bit of a step up, you know, give you a bit of a head start, give you somewhere to start focusing. So now the rest is up to you. Sam's going to give you a little bit of detail into the challenge that we want to set you. So over to you, Sam.
Perfect. So like Lisa said, this is not what we're not about is just giving people information. Like, you can Google that, go and get it off Google. This is about transformation. So now we've given you what you need. We really want you to go and put it into practice so you can go and create some clients and you can get your business online, get it running. So what we want you to do is we want you to make a list using your phone, use your iPad, whatever, talking of software, do whatever you want, whatever, put the list, whatever. But we want you to create a list of 10 names, 10 people that you can go out or use Facebook, whatever it is that you're using, and invite those people into a coaching experience with you and let them experience your coaching. So then you can get some practice, not only coaching, and if you're already coaching, great, you can get some practice of what it is to invite people online or virtually, but you can also get set up online as well. So you can start using Zoom and all the software that I say all the software we've talked about, we've only really talked about Zoom. So whatever software it is that you choose. After this video is finished, there'll be an outro, and in that outro will be our contact details, our email and our Facebook group. We'd love for you to come and join us. And we would love for you to email us and let us know how this challenge went. We will get back to you on it personally. We will get back to you. So we'd love to hear how you get on. Other than that, we hope you've really enjoyed the course and got something from it. And if there's anything we can do in the future, hopefully we'll see you in our group. Otherwise, that's me out. Have you got anything, Lisa?
Nope, over and out. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. All the best.